You might think it's difficult to find funds for ministry that your faith group wants to do, but it's not. On Austin Faith Dialogue today, we explore ways to find funds to help you reach out to the community. Stay with us.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life. A series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
We're glad you're with us today on Austin Faith Dialogue. I'm Sandy Wilder, your host, and today we're talking about finding funds for your ministry. And our guest today is Lisa Cisneros, who's on the staff of the Regional Foundation Library here in town.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Lisa. It's good to have you. My guess is, though, that a lot of people don't even know what a Regional Foundation Library is, much less that we have one. So how about you describe, first of all, what this organization is?
The Regional Foundation Library was established back in the 1960s. It's actually part of the Hogg Foundation and the University of Texas. The Hogg family left their money to the university, and the foundation was established, sat up with the Hogg Foundation. And the library itself is a separate entity, but it's a part of the foundation. We don't have any dealings with the grant-making process. Our role is to assist the nonprofit community and students seeking funding sources with helping them conduct the research and providing the resources to the community for locating funding sources.
So the library is actually what it says, and it's a place with resources for people to come and do research, right?
Correct. We have materials in the library from the collection out of New York, the Foundation Center out of New York. We have materials on private foundations, corporate giving programs. We have newsletters from other nonprofit agencies as well as funding information. We also have information on the funders themselves in the form of tax returns, annual reports, newsletters, any publication they might have.
Are we lucky to have a foundation library here? I get the impression from this wealth of resources that not every sizable town across the country has this kind of collection.
We are fortunate. Here in Austin, we have the resource and free service to go along with it. So we actually have sit-down service to help you plan programs, to help you conduct the research. We actually proof proposals, give you ideas about other options besides public and private foundations. Also at the library, we have the Foundation Center database, the FC Search.
So we're online now. Of course, related to the University of Texas, of course we're online.
Right.
Well, so Lisa, suppose someone then has an idea and wants to, through their faith group, their church, their synagogue, whatever, wants to do something to meet human needs. I guess we first of all ought to say something about the notion that some people might have that there aren't funds available for faith-based work. Is that true?
It's not true. There are funds available through other agencies other than foundations. There's funding available through the state, the county, the city. Federal agencies have funding sources. You can also get funding from associations and other organizations, people who might have a common interest, individuals in the community, local businesses, corporate giving programs, your local grocery stores, retail shops also do giving or funding for programs.
So even though we might think that there's a wall, say, between church and state, to use a shorthand term, that's really not true, and people shouldn't be scared of going out to search for funds, right?
Right. The government has begun to realize that the separation of church and state is not going to help the community. Because the churches are the primary source for individuals needing help to go to their church for items such as help with electric bills, child care, counseling, rehabilitation. Ministries and faith-based programs are providing those services. So the government agencies do have funding available for those programs.
Great. So that's the first good news. The second, that you all are available. So suppose someone then has an idea. What then should he or she do to search for funds to make this project happen?
Well, the first thing that an agency should do is look around their community and see what other agencies are offering similar services so that they're not duplicating programs, or network with other agencies as far as if another church is providing one service, then you can collaborate and not provide the same service, but be seeking the different opportunities and allowing the people in the community resources. The next thing you would do is determine what programs you would like to offer with your ministry, whether it be child care, after school youth programs, weekend youth programs, job training for adults, ESL courses, welfare to work type programs, whatever the organization would like to do, and determine how you want to implement those programs and what it's going to take in order to provide those services. If you're just going to need full-time staff, equipment, materials, and collaborate with agencies such as the welfare programs in order to get some of those clients in, determine what your needs are, and kind of plot out a budget and a timeline as far as how you're going to implement those programs. At that point, then you can come to the library and we'll help you determine what routes you can take to locate funding sources.
So you don't just show up. First, you have done your thinking, looking around to see who else is doing whatever,
Right.
and then thinking about how you can provide the service.
Right,
So-
and we do have resources in the library as far as if you're looking for other agencies to network with. We do have newsletters from other agencies, and we work with agencies on a daily basis, so we're pretty aware of what's going on in the community. So we can link you to some agencies.
Great. So people do their research, they're investigating, they're thinking, they're planning, whatever. Then just show up in your offices?
Well, we prefer you call. There are only 2 staff, one full-time professional librarian, and then I'm a part-time staff person. And we do have pretty booked schedules, so it's best to call about 2 weeks in advance or call before you come. There are some days when you can get in to use just the resources if you know how to use them. We do like to sit down and to help you determine what resources you might need, because there are so many, and the resources are divided up by subject areas. So just because you're a ministry doesn't mean you're only going to look at religious funders.
Where else might you look then?
Depending on what programs you're offering, because some funders fund children and youth programs and some funders fund women programs. So depending on what your program is about and what you're seeking, we determine what you need based on the information that you've already thought through. We do work with agencies in the idea stage and help you get started or help start new nonprofits. So we do also provide that service.
Someone calls, shows up, has an orientation with you all, and then they're on their own from then on, or what happens next?
Not necessarily, depending on where you are with your steps. We do a step process and we walk you through step by step. We send you away to do some homework and some research outside of the library. We give you the materials you need, and then you come back at your next step. So we walk you through. It is a multi-step process, and it does take some time. We do proof your proposals. We give you ideas on how to sit down and start thinking. We send you away with things to do, and then you come back and conduct more research at the library. But we're always available for questions or to help you get started and to walk you through each step.
Now, we keep saying library. Is this a circulating collection, though?
The collection is not circulating. It is all resource reference material. We do have materials on grant writing. We have resources on proposal writing, planned giving, volunteerism. We have an NSFRE collection and a Dovia collection at the library. We have the original Foundation Center collection dating back to the very first directories. So we have a multitude of information.
A good place to start. So someone has done their background work, they've showed up to work with you all, have come back with perhaps a proposal. Then what help are you able to give as staff?
We can proof their proposal and give them some ideas as far as what we might find questionable. If we don't understand it, then a funder might not understand it. We give you information as far as it might work better to word it this way versus the way you're wording it. We don't sit down and write the proposals. We do have information in the library as far as other grant writers in the community. If you don't have a staff person who can do it, people who are available to hire outside of our library, we do keep information and phone numbers on a bulletin board. So if you're seeking someone, it's not a process that is difficult. Most people can do it, especially with the help and the step-by-step walkthrough.
So you could point someone in the direction of resources to do the writing. I assume maybe also to do, say, practice interviews or whatever a funder might require. You can point them to other people who could help with that process?
Yes, we could. It's not a task that most people can't do. If you've got time and you're really wanting to do it, then you can learn how to do it. It's not a difficult task. Some people just get afraid by the word proposal and grant writing, but it's not a difficult thing.
This sounds so logical and really not very hard. Is there a wrong way to do this whole funding seeking process?
The wrong way would be to have in your mind you want to get a grant, you know the money's out there, and try to design a program based on what's out there. The correct way is to design your program the way you want to do it so that it's innovative and creative and addressing the needs of your community, and then to get the community's support and then seek the funding for it.
And why is that? Because as you have said, money is out there, so why not design something then to meet the money that's out there?
For one, it's hard to locate the money that's out there until you know what you're looking for. The way the resources are set up, you need to know what your program is going to be, and you don't want to duplicate programs, and you want your program to be innovative and creative, and it's going to be unique to your own community and your own needs. So doing it the way you would like to do it, and then going to the funders and saying, look, we've got this great program, the community is a part of it, we are addressing the needs of many people, and it's a program that can be duplicated in other areas for other organizations, and that's going to get the attention of the funders.
Now, I suppose the Foundation Library doesn't guarantee success. Obviously, you all can't do that. But what would you estimate your success rate is if folks come in and go through all these steps with you?
It varies. We have grant seekers who have been 100% funded because they go to the right funders. It's all a matter of doing your homework, doing it correctly, and knowing what the funders are looking for so that you're going to the right funder for the right thing, the right amount of money at the right time.
So you can't guarantee success, but you can get somebody pretty close to success, right?
Yes. We can't guarantee success, but providing the resources and showing you how to use those resources is going to increase your success chances.
And again, with free help, this is a can't-lose proposition for almost any of us. Well, we'll come back in the second half with some more questions. Thank you, Lisa. Mm-hmm. And thank you for being with us for the first half of Austin Faith Dialogue. We'll see you again in just a minute. We're glad you're still here for Austin Faith Dialogue, and our topic today is finding funds for ministry, because the money is out there for all those creative things we want to do through our faith groups. And helping us talk about the process and walking us through is Lisa Cisneros on the staff of the Regional Foundation Library here in town. Lisa, it's been good having you for the first half, and second half here, let's talk a little bit more about the kinds of funders that are out there, because people might have the impression that there are just large foundations that will underwrite faith-based programs or small family foundations. But is that true?
Well, there are various types of funders. There's the federal dollars that go through the states and through the counties and through the cities. Or one avenue. We don't keep those resources in the library. We do keep information how to access them. They are easily accessible outside of our organization. The information we do have in the library on private foundations. The private foundations are the family monies. They're going to be families that have established foundations that will fund based on what their restrictions are. Some have restrictions, some do not have restrictions. The foundations are divided into small, medium, and large categories based on assets. Most of Texas dollars do stay in Texas, so if you're a Texas organization, some have geographic limitations and some don't. Some prefer to give to youth programs and others to religious organizations. So it just depends on the funder that you're going to. The research we help you do does eliminate those funders who are not going to be interested in your program. We look at who you are and who you're servicing, what you do and what you need to help us determine what funders to direct you to. The private foundations are family dollars. There is public foundations, which is what the Hogg Foundation actually is. It's a public foundation, even though it's family money, because it was given to the University of Texas, and the University of Texas is a public agency. So the Hogg Foundation is public, and funders such as Meadows and Moody are private foundations. Those are family dollars. Some of them do have restrictions, some don't. Aside from foundations that are private and public, you do have corporate foundations. Those are set aside endowed funds that corporations set aside. Now, corporate giving is going to be the dollars that corporations give. It could be based on stock, could be based on interest. Some corporations have foundations and corporate giving programs, such as HEB. HEB has a foundation, but they do corporate giving as well. Walmart has a foundation, and they do corporate giving. So you can go to your local community store as well as go to their foundation at their operating headquarters.
This is all such good news that there really is a lot out there if folks will simply take the time to look.
There are, and Giving USA tells us that out of the funding that's provided, really only 15% come from foundations. The other 85% come from individuals and local businesses in your community. Associations and organizations, agencies that have groups of people, such as the Women Baptist Association. Those are agencies that can give funding, or they do at times contribute or make donations to worthy causes. So that's another source. Churches in your area, extra collections at churches. There's a lot of ways that you can get funding from your community.
So folks can think creatively. And that leads me to wonder then about the possibility of doing some of this research at home, because you described some of the things you have in your collection, but I wonder if these days, since so many folks can access things on the internet, if there are ways to do research, and once you've decided what it is you want to do, if there are ways to do research just on your home computer.
There are large foundations. Some of them have websites. Most of the corporate foundations do have websites, and you can do searches on corporate names. If you'll look around when you're driving down the street, the different businesses that you pass, and think, do they have a foundation or do they give? If you'll go to their website, a lot of them have that information on their website. Private foundations are going to be family monies. If they're large foundations, they may have websites. A lot of smaller foundations, it's whoever checks the P.O. box that day. It just depends on whether they are technology advanced. The Foundation Center does have direct links to those foundations that have websites, and it also has folders set up for those that do not have websites. The web address for Foundation Center is fdncenter.org, and that's where you can access some of that. The Foundation Center website also has some information online as far as short course on proposal writing and a grant seeker's guide to grant seeking. So that would be available on your internet.
Is there anything, as people are doing research for faith-based projects, is there anything that they need to watch out for? Because again, some of us may think that a funder won't fund something that is faith-based.
When you look at the websites, the ones who have websites will have guidelines or what their interest areas are. And you can pretty much tell, just because they don't fund religious organizations doesn't mean they're not going to fund your community-based program. If you are open to the community and your program is reaching out to the community, then you have to go beyond that barrier of we're a church, we're a religious organization. Most funders, if they're interested in children and youth programs, they're going to be interested in funding your child care center. If they are restricted and they cannot fund churches for sectarian purposes, that's another story. If you're seeking funds for your church, your congregation, your pastor's salary, that's different than for your community programs.
I am under the impression that that hasn't always been the case, that there really used to be more of a wall, if you will, between, say, public money and faith-based work, that separation of church and state. And I wonder if there are movements out in society to help bring that wall down. Is anything happening that you have noticed?
There is, and there is a really good document on the internet done out of an organization based in Atlanta, Georgia. The organization is called Inner City Hope, and they do have a really good report on the internet. If you'll go to www.innercityhope.org, they do have that report on there. And it talks about the legislation that's passed and the programs that are being addressed through the community, through the religious organizations.
Charitable
and how
choice,
charitable
I think.
choice, exactly. And it's a really good article.
Okay, and repeat the address again, just in case.
It's www.innercityhope.org.
Okay.
All lowercase.
Great, thank you. Now, getting back here to our regional library in Austin, what's the telephone number that folks would call to get in touch with you?
It's 512-471-5041. We do prefer that you call for an appointment. We do stay usually about a week to 2 weeks booked in advance. The resource materials, once you come in and have begun to use them and know how to use the resources, you can get in a little sooner if you're reserving books. So we do reserve the books for individual use.
And what hours is
The library is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We do open during the noon hour. We are closed for the UT holidays and some state holidays. We do sometimes close for workshops or work days. We do host workshops there at the library. And so it's best if you call just to be sure before you come, in case we are closed for a workshop and you've wasted a trip over.
I'm sure people will do that. Well, I'm intrigued as to what led you to do this. This is a kind of a specialized field of work, and some people might think, oh, I could never learn to do this. What is it about helping people find funds that was attractive to you?
It's a real interesting line of work. I work with so many different agencies on a daily basis. We work with so many people in the community doing good things for the community. Agencies, making a better life for a lot of people, working with children and families, other ministries, art and culture programs. We work with agencies that are family resources. We work with such a variety, and hearing the great projects and the good programs that are out there for people or organizations in need are what keeps me going. It's really a good line of work to be in.
Have you seen in the years that you've been doing this work people becoming more sophisticated about searching for funds, or are they more scared now about searching for funds and think it's harder than it really is?
Well, a lot of people tend to think it's harder than it really is. It's intimidating to hear that word, grant writing or proposal. It's not difficult. There's so much information that can help you and that can assist you. Even if you don't come to the library, there's information on the internet, there's books, there's other people who will help you, other agencies in the community who have already conducted research, who are doing grant seeking, who are successful, who will be willing to help in the community.
So we have the good fortune to have a library here. Where are the other Foundation Center libraries?
They're all over the United States. In Texas, there are several: San Antonio, Houston, Waco, Dallas. Most of the other collections are in public libraries or in nonprofit centers. We are the only free resource that you actually can sit down and have one-on-one consultation. The other collections, as far as we are aware, you can hire consultants or they're just a collection. There's someone there who can assist you in locating the resources. But there's not anyone who will really sit down at no charge and work with you. And we're fortunate that we're part of the university and part of the foundation. That's why we have the opportunity.
If you were going to, say, a few years down the road, project where you would like our regional library to be, what would you say? Do you need more space, more staffing, open more hours, better prepared people coming to you? What would you need?
Probably more technology. I think that's the one avenue that we are not advancing as rapidly as we'd like. We have recently acquired a computer that will allow patrons the ability to search the 990 tax returns from IRS on a CD-ROM. We also have a separate computer that holds the FC Search, which is the database for the Foundation Center, where you can run some searches. We don't offer internet access to patrons, and I think that would be the one thing that really would be necessary, that would be helpful, because there is so much online that can be acquired, such as the corporate foundations. At this point, it's not accessible through the library unless it's in a folder that we've already gone through, or we can direct you to it outside of the library.
That's a good dream for the future. So one last thing. As we're talking about helping people in their faith-based programs find funds, what piece of advice would you give to folks? Either to do or not to do, to be aware of, whatever.
I would think the one good thing to keep in mind, and the piece of advice that I would like to say, is look around your community and see what the needs are, and see if other agencies are addressing those needs. And if you don't feel like they're addressing the needs that are out there, come up with your own programs. Be innovative, be creative. Think about how you'd like to address those problems, and take that risk, and start designing your own programs. Work with other agencies. What didn't work for them? What is working for them? How were they successful with finding, and how have they been successful in implementing their programs? And how can they help you with your programs?
And ultimately, I guess that's what faith-based groups are about, is meeting human needs. Not just spiritual needs, but human needs.
Right.
Okay, one more time, the phone number for the library, just so people be sure that they know how to get
It's
you.
area code 512-471-5041. We are also located off campus, so we don't have the parking problem of being on campus.
That's probably the best news people will
Oh, yes.
hear.
Yes.
Well, Lisa, thanks for coming to talk about the Regional Foundation Library, all the resources you have. I predict lots of folks will come and take advantage of what you've got there.
Well, thank you. We hope so.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us this week on Austin Faith Dialogue. We look forward to seeing you again next week right here.